I think the headline in our numbers in realizing the 110 billion is really the top line growth. If you recall, in 2020 versus 2019, as a consequence of COVID, we were flat on the revenue line, delivered a flat number of 316 billion. Come 2021, we're able to grow that top line by about just under 50 billion, which represented a growth of 15.4%. So the key driving factor behind it is a growth in our revenue line, sustained costs, and a significant reduction in our impairment line, or bad loans as it were, which is reflecting the recovery that we've been able to make. That is reflected in the profitability you're seeing today. As you know, SMEs are the lifeblood of our economy. I think statistics show that at least 90% of the contribution to the economic activities comes from SMEs, right? And we have product offerings. Say in the SME space, we even have unsecured lending of up to 100 million Ugandan shillings. So we have a number of offerings that we are providing as a way of stimulating growth in the SME space. I think where we are now, there is no doubt that we have seen inflation tapering up as a consequence of rising commodity prices, disruption in the supply chain. I think our conversations with importers are showing that the cost of transportation, or through say sea transport, is increasing quite significantly, and what that results in is an increase in the cost of products, goods and services. And ultimately, that is something that we are seeing in the economy, something that the central bank has also alluded to, and the Ministry of Finance, in terms of rising prices. So what is the consequence of that? So as prices continue to rise, in the event that we see a continued rise in prices, inflation may tick up. So one of the interventions that is likely to be there to stem inflation in terms of controlling the impact of growing prices would be to revise the central bank rate upwards. So it is a possibility. So rising inflation obviously has impact also on credit appetite, because if inflation continues to rise, there is a possibility that the cost of credit could go up, and as people begin to rebalance their personal balance sheets, there could be a reduction in terms of credit growth as a consequence of an increase in the cost of credit. In 3-4 particular sectors, when I look at construction, quite optimistic there, manufacturing and trade, quite optimistic. Tourism is another area that we are drawing optimism from. So that is on the optimistic side. Now, all these things are dependent on how quickly we get stability in terms of what is happening globally. The Russia-Ukraine war is, I think, something that is top of everyone's mind. They are the largest producers of wheat, oil and gas in the world, diamonds and things like that. But I think for me, it's cautiously optimistic. All things being equal, and if these geopolitical risks that we are seeing and supply chain disruptions are stemmed, say, in the next quarter, then we could, come up with a more positive outlook in terms of where the year ends. So I like to maintain a balance, this cautious optimism that somehow we will find a way around these issues. I think if we go back 2 years ago, no one ever thought that we would overcome COVID. Not that it has been overcome in totality, but it has been brought under control. Still remains an area that we need to pay a close attention to, because to the extent that we have a third or fourth wave coming through, that could also cause another disruption to the global environment.